Hey everyone, Seth Campbell here. Welcome to the new Segue Says podcast. Well, in this episode, I'm going to do something that I rarely do around here, and that's feature a segue in which I've pretty significantly reworked the second song just for the purposes of making it fit in the segue. I think the only time I've done this before was when I really rearranged A Night on the Town by Bruce Hornsby to make it fit in a segue with Golden Years by David Bowie. The reason I don't do it a lot is I feel like it's kind of cheating, because if you're reworking songs drastically, then you can really make any song segue into any other if you're just totally screwing around with the form. But sometimes that's good, and also I think as we go through this one, you'll see why the idea kind of leapt out at me as something that could work. The two songs are the new Fever Waltz by Elton John and Hallelujah by Leonard Cohen. So it's another case of one that's very obscure and then one that's super well known. Now, let's look at these songs a little bit. The new Fever Waltz is from Elton John's 2014 album, The Diving Board, which is a collection of a lot of really melancholy songs, very brooding and sad. And some people have kind of panned it as, artist gets older and writes a bunch of slow, sad songs, but I think there are some seriously beautiful tracks on this record. Home Again is one of them, Oceans Away, and then there's this one. Elton has listed this one. He put out a list one time of a whole bunch of his songs that weren't hits, that were his favorites. So his favorite lesser-known songs of his, and this was one of them. So I'm glad, because I agree. Forgotten scars remind us of too much war, too little love. Beyond the fault line, truth to burn. Within the page, so much to learn. Wounded birds look to us. Who can heal? Who to trust? And down the giants, old and new. Strike up the band and waltz on through. I was shaking with a fever when the last good horse went down. Just a couple dancing where 1,000 kings were crowned. I was shaking with a fever before the white flag flew, and the ballroom opened up to us, and the dancers danced on through. So again, very sort of gloomy song, but I think really beautifully written. He and Bernie Taupin really are just an incredible writing team. So, let's put that one aside for the moment and look at Hallelujah. Now, Hallelujah has been pretty ubiquitous since Leonard Cohen put his first version out. He's put a few versions out. It's been recorded by Rufus Wainwright and Jeff Buckley and Katie Lang. Everybody's done it. So much so, as a matter of fact, I saw my relationship with memes as a concept is strained at best, but I saw something the other day that I thought was absolutely hilarious. And, the punchline is kind of spoiled at this point because of, the context in which I'm bringing it in. But imagine just coming upon this and not knowing what it was going to say. You pick a phrase, you pick a rhyme, repeat the sound another time. 5 I ams and 1 extra beat'll do ya. Another rhyme, ascending note. Congratulations, you just wrote another goddamn verse to Hallelujah. And the reason it says that is because between all the versions, I think there are 7 or 8 or 9 different verses. I'll just do a couple. It's a verse refrain. Well, I guess it's a verse chorus. The original Leonard Cohen version is in C, and then there's a version in B flat. Cohen sings it really low. There was a secret chord that David played. Please the Lord, you don't really really care for music, do ya? And then most people, because we don't have a voice that low, sing an octave higher. It goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall, a major lift, a baffled king composing hallelujah. I say this as if you don't know this song already, because like I said, it's inescapable. So, as you can hear, these two songs are pretty different, but if you're listening really closely, there are a couple of moments that they're similar. Now, there are a couple discrepancies that we have to get rid of in the first place. The first is, New Fever Waltz is in B minor / D major. So, if Hallelujah is in C major / A minor, we're going to have to change it to D. So we're going to move Hallelujah up a full step. That's not that big a deal. But what is to make this work, I'm going to switch it from 6/8 time to 3/4. Because Hallelujah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hallelujah is in 6/8, whereas the New Fever Waltz is in 3/4. It's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now, for those of you who are less musical, you might be hearing, wait, like 6/8 and 3/4, like those are the same fraction. It's just a reduction, so it should be the same thing. I know, it's confusing. Trust me, it doesn't work that way. Especially because the emphasis in 3/4 is on those three. It's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And they're three kind of equally strong beats, whereas 6/8 is usually, it's almost always strong, weak, weak, strong, weak, weak. So 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4. It feels more like a pendulum. 1, da, 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 da. So, what would Hallelujah sound like in 3/4 as opposed to 6/8? So again, this is 6/8, but it's in the key that we're switching it to for the sake of New Fever Waltz. I heard there was a secret chord. David played it, pleased the Lord, but you don't really care for music, do ya? It goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall, the major lift, baffled king composing hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. 1, 2, 3, hallelujah, hallelujah. If it was 3/4, it would sound like this. I heard there was a secret chord. David played and pleased the Lord. But you don't really care for music, do ya? It goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall, the major lift, the baffled king composing hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. So as you can hear, it's similar, but it doesn't quite feel the same. It doesn't feel like sort of the rocking gently back and forth so much as 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3. So the reason I thought to do this is when I first heard New Fever Waltz, when the Diving Board record first came out, every time I heard that fourth chord, scars remind us of too much war, too little love, and then going to beyond the fall line. For some reason in my head, I wanted to hear it go, like I wanted to hear it go up to an A, and I couldn't figure out why until I realized that it was similar to the fourth line of the verse in Hallelujah. Or not, no, it's a different, yeah. The day David played and it pleased the Lord, but you don't really care for music, do you? Instead of, you don't really care for music, do you? I didn't know why in my brain it seemed like the song was supposed to go elsewhere until I realized that, like, just that too little love reminded me of please the Lord. It would be please the Lord. Depending on who's singing it, the rhythm could be a little different. David played and please the Lord. You don't really care for music, do you? So once I had this in my head, I was thinking, okay, there's got to be a way I can make this work. And it really took a while for me because I wasn't sure about switching Hallelujah to 3/4 from 6/8, but I did this live a couple times and people really liked it. So I decided, like, okay, I guess it doesn't really, bother people, and it sounds a little different. Usually when I do it, because again, 7 or 8 or 9 verses, I would just do a verse or two as a tease. So after the last chorus, shaking with a fever, before the white flag flew, when the ballroom opened up to us, and the dancers danced all through. Now, I actually add one little other change. Because in Hallelujah, the chord progression, if we're doing in this key, would be D, B minor, D, B minor, G, A, D. Whereas the verse progression of New Fever Waltz is B minor, D, G, A, B minor. For the first 4 lines of the first verse that I do of Hallelujah, I actually keep the New Fever Waltz chords because it comes out of this a little bit easier. I heard there was a secret chord David played and it pleased the Lord. You can do that to the melody of New Fever Waltz as well, which is I just did there, or you could just do I heard there was. That works better than actually. So yeah, if you're going to change the chords, you should change the melody, as opposed to, or you could if you wanted to. But I heard there was a secret chord David played, please the Lord. So once you get to the line, please the Lord, everything else from there, the way I do it at least, is just the regular chord progression of Hallelujah. So whether you do that or heard there was a secret chord David played, it pleased the Lord, but you don't really care for music, do you? And the reason you pretty much have to do the Hallelujah chords here is because the lyrics are literally describing the chord progression. It goes like this: the 4th chord in the scale, the 5th chord in the scale, the minor fall, because it's the minor 6th chord, and then the major lift. The melody goes up as it goes back to a major. Baffled king composing Hallelujah. So for that, you could sing, it goes like this: the 4th and 5th, the minor fall, the major lift. The king composing Hallelujah. But you're kind of betraying the lyrics if you do that. So I like to do the first 4 lines with the melody and chords of New Fever Waltz into The rest of it is in just the standard form of Hallelujah, except it's in 3/4 instead of 6/8. Like I said, this is unusual for a Segue Says episode. I have a few segues like this where I've really reworked one of the songs, but I don't feature them in the episodes much because, again, like if there are no rules, then you can do anything with anything. But I wanted to highlight this because, as I said, it was inspired by noticing that moment of similarity and thinking, like, why am I expecting this song that I'm hearing to go somewhere else? Because that's a sensation that I know a lot of people have when they hear a song that's similar to something else. They'll say, like, I thought the melody was like this, or it feels like it should be like this. And then someone, whether it's me or someone else, will point out, well, actually, there's another song that's similar, and it does have that melody, so that's probably why you're thinking that. And so I guess I wanted to show that, you can do something cool with that idea if you have it. And the one last sort of addendum to this is I like to go back to New Fever Waltz, just to this little instrumental riff at the very end. But that's very clearly centered around the B minor instead of the D major, so to get it back to minor, the very last chord of Hallelujah, rather than go, because the chorus of Hallelujah is G, B minor, G, D, A, D. So rather than make the very last chord a D, I just substitute the B minor because it's a relative minor, so it'll still work. And you can have the melody be the same or change it. Either way it works. So Hallelujah, 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 Hallelujah. That's if you keep the melody the same and have the melody land on the D, or you could bring the melody to the B to really drive the minor home. So Hallelujah. That's the way I like to do it myself because it's just eerie. So just to recap this all once through the whole thing without any sort of interjections. This is last chorus of New Fever Waltz, a verse, I'll just do a one verse tease of Hallelujah, and then the outro of New Fever Waltz. So this is what I tend to do live. I was shaking with a fever before the white flag flew, and the ballroom opened up to us, and the dancers danced on through. And there you have it. As I said at the outset, it's a bit convoluted. I took quite a few liberties, but as I said also, I've performed this for a couple people who thought it was really cool, at a couple of shows I've done, so I figured it was worth making an episode about it. And again, hopefully, giving you the idea that if you have one of those moments where you feel like a song should go differently and you realize it's because, it reminds you of another song, this is the kind of thing you can turn that into if you want to. So, anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed. Hopefully you've learned something. I'll see you in the next episode.